Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Bobby. This is Shepherding for God, and this is actually a brand new live series that I am starting every Tuesday. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. At first, I was going to have this series be pre recorded, but I realized I get kind of boring when it's just me. And I don't mean in the sense of I don't have great things to say. Uh, I, I mean, I suppose I do. But I get a little monotone when I'm only talking to myself. So I would appreciate if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Make sure you put little question marks by it. That way I know and we can get into our lesson today, y'all. It won't be super long, just kind of short to the point. This series is going to be all about how words have meaning. So give me just a moment. And let's get into it, y'all. All right, you guys. Oh, I guess I can't spell. Oh, that's funny, y'all. Okay. So you guys just going to go and pin that real quick. All right, let's do this. So today's topic is Ezer Kenegdo. Are you a servant or an equal? Now, this is mostly for my ladies. I mean, gentlemen, if you're there too, hello, hello, hello. Welcome, and you're going to learn some facts about words. So, Ezer Kenegdo, you're probably like, Bobby, I've never seen those words in the Bible. Well, I bet you actually have. And I'll show them to you right now. These are Hebrew words, right? And the Hebrew words we're not often familiar with. So let's get over here. Bloop. And we are going to go right here to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. Then the Lord said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will help him. I will make him a helper suitable for him." All right, you guys. So you're like, Bobby, all I see is the word helper and suitable. Well, let's click into the Strongs. I will make him a helper. Well, look at that. Ezer. This is a masculine noun, right? So it's a help source, one who helps, and it's used quite often in the Bible, right? And then if we go back to here, suitable. Now this doesn't say conegdo, but that is how it translates from Hebrew. Unfortunately, the phrase itself, Ezra Conegdo, is poorly translated into English, right? Because English sucks. It's super hard to get direct translations. This is the best that they could get. We could go to King James, and I know everybody's like, oh, please don't. Yeah, King James is super hard to read, you guys. I know it. Trust me, I get it. Let's make this a little bigger. That way you guys can read. And the Lord said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him." A helpmeet. Nobody talks like that no more, right? That's why I like using New American Standard. You get the same gist, but the helpmeet is somebody suitable for him, right? So let's go ahead and let's get back to our slides, y'all. So, are you a servant or are you an equal? Ladies, we were never created to be less than a man, okay? Are we different from men? For sure. Do we have different roles? Absolutely. Does it mean that we are less than somehow, some way, some shape, form? No. So, conegdo, suitable, the perfect helper that is equal to man. And just like we've seen that in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. So, what is Ezer? And do we see it anywhere else in the Bible? The phrase Ezer Kenegdo is only seen when it is describing God making woman, right? That is the only place that phrase is seen. But the word Ezer is often seen in the Bible, right? So God uses it not only Genesis 18, but also in Genesis 2:20. But not only does he use it to describe what a woman is, but he also uses it to describe other things. So let's take a look at a couple of those verses. So let's take a look at Isaiah 30, chapter 30, verse 5, right? So you guys are like, what are you talking about, Bobby? A helper just means that they help. Well, not necessarily. And if I could spell, y'all, it'd be much better. But like I said, if you guys got any questions, please drop them in the comments. Put little question marks by them. I gotta look how to spell something because I am illiterate when it comes to spelling, y'all. I can read great if it's in my head, but for the life of me, I lack the ability to spell. Horribly. So sad. All right, now we can get it up here. So, Isaiah chapter 30, verse 5. Let's make that a little bigger, right? So here it says, everyone will be ashamed because of the people who cannot profit them, who are not for help or profit, but for the shame and also for reproach, who are not for help, right? So here again, we see help. In this term, it's used in a way that they're benefiting somebody, right? In this way, it shows that they are causing that person to benefit in some way, shape, or form, right? So if we go back to our slides, we can see Ezer is used for nations to whom Israel appealed for military aid, right? So in Isaiah, they're asking for help through battle, right? And because of that, help is used, helper, right? But not only is helper used to describe a military stance, which is very high, very, very much of strength that is needed, right? But God Himself uses the exact same word to describe Himself. Now let that sit in for just a second, you guys. If God is using that word to describe Himself, last time I checked, God is greater than all of us, right? He is our creator. So how in the world did we somehow get the idea that women are less than man when the same word that he used to describe the first woman he ever made is the same word that he uses to describe himself? Make it make sense, y'all. Like, come on. It makes absolutely no sense. So let's see when God uses the word Ezer to describe himself as a helper to Israel. We'll look at Exodus 18, verse 4. So I really want you guys to understand that these words have so much more meaning than what we're usually taught. And we can be taught so incorrectly that's not even funny. Truly and honestly, y'all. It is not even funny how they manipulate these words and turn them around and mess with our heads, and they convince us something is supposed to be a certain way. But that's not the case. Women were created to be the pillar that holds up the man when the man cannot hold up himself. And when we start to really think about that in terms of I am equal to my husband in strength because I have my own type of strength. My husband is the leader of our household, right? But how can he lead if he has nobody there to lean on when things get hard? Often we're taught that marriage is 50-50, right? Wrong. And we really got to stop teaching people that because it's not 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20. Sometimes it's 90-10. Sometimes you're both at 20% and you're just holding each other up, and that's the only way you guys make it through that day. But it's because you're pillars holding the same goal, making your way towards the same thing. And when you come united and stop looking at each other as one is greater than the other, mountains move. Because that's how God intended it. God made Eve so Adam wasn't lonely. So they had somebody that was suitable and equal to him. But we have been taught that we are less than men. And it's so sad. But let's read here when God uses Ezer to describe himself, right? The other was named Eleazar. Second name, sorry. For he said, the God of my father, who was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. You guys, right here. The God of my father, who was my help. Right? And that's not the only time that God uses the word Ezer to describe himself. Right? We can see here, let's pop this back up so you guys can see all the verses. And you guys can stop, take a screenshot, take all these verses. We won't go over all of them today. I mean, if you guys want me to, we can definitely hit all of them. But I really want to dive into and make you understand that we have been taught incorrectly our whole lives. We have been made less than what we are. But let's go over to Deuteronomy 33:7. And again, y'all, I really suck at spelling, so give me a second. I got my Bible next to me so I can spell properly. Deuteronomy 30 verse 7, I think it was. 33:7. And again, I am using the Blue Letter Bible to do this. And I'm using the New American Standard Version. And this regarding Judah, he said, hear, O Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him to his people. And with his hand he contended for them. May you be a help against his adversaries. You guys, if God describes himself with the exact same word, and I'll prove it to you. For anyone's like, oh, well, yeah, help and help. But yeah, look, same exact word, Ezer, right there. Let's make it bigger. Ezer. God is describing himself the exact same way that he describes women. Look, it's right here. Genesis 2:18. We just went over that at the beginning. Right? And the Lord God said, it is not good for a man to be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. He's using the same word to describe us, women, as he uses for himself. And God is not less than, y'all. Okay? He never has been. He never will be. So please, stop thinking to yourself that you're less than. Okay? You are right there. Are you made to do different things? Absolutely. My brain doesn't work the same way my husband's brain works. But you know what? My husband's brain doesn't work the way my brain works. My husband is made to hold up our family, to support us, to protect us, to provide for us. I might have already said that. My apologies. And I am there to support him, to take care of the children in a nurturing manner. I am there to structure things. I am there to hold him up when he cannot hold himself up. I am a helpmate. I am equal with man. That's really what Ezer Kenegdo means. One equal to man. Not only are men created in the image of God, but so are women. We are too are created in his image. And God cares about us so much, you guys. It's quite funny that women believe that God cares so much more about men over women. Because if we see in the Bible, if we really stop and we go through the stories in the Bible, right? You can see that God makes men travel all these great distances, and they go up hills to far off regions, the wilderness, all these crazy places to be able to communicate with him. Pretty much every woman in the Bible that you read about, God comes to her. He doesn't make her travel some long, far off distance. Why? Because he understands that he meant for her to be in a certain place. And because of that, he goes directly to you. God is a girl dad, okay? I'll say it. He definitely is. And it's so beautiful how much he loves us. And I can only imagine the pain that he felt when Eve took into her own hands his plan. Of course, it was supposed to happen. Of course, that's what was meant to be. But did it fall in the same timeline that he had planned out? Probably not. Why? Because Eve didn't turn to her helpmate. She didn't turn to her husband and ask for verification. She allowed somebody to trick her. And we have allowed the world to trick us into thinking that we are less than, that we are only here to do certain things because that's what society says. We have to be servants to our husbands. No. Submissive doesn't mean servant. Submitting doesn't mean oppressed. These are all different words. Submission means that you are willing to take and follow what somebody has for you because you believe in your heart that they truly have the best in mind for you. So when we sit here and we say, oh, well, if I submit to my husband, I have to do everything he says. No, the Bible doesn't tell you that. The Bible tells you that, one, you should only submit to a man that is with God, first and foremost. If he is not living a godly life, he does not submit himself to God, you do not need to submit yourself to him because he does not have the best interest in his heart for you necessarily. He may lead you down a path that you were never meant to be on. So first and foremost, make sure that he is a godly man that submits himself to God. And then you learn what submission is through God. Are you submitted to God? Because if you're not submitted to God, then you're both just over here walking this line. Sorry, guys. And you're lost. And it's sad. It really is. So there's just so many places that God uses the word Ezer, aka helper, to describe not only women, but military help and himself. Both of those are very, very strong, powerful, masculine, like kind of things. And if he's using the same word to describe those two things, himself and a military, what makes you think when he described you that way, all of a sudden it lost its oomph? It lost all notion. It lost all gumption. He meant for you to be able to hold your ground and to be able to hold up your husband. I think the best way I heard it described was, imagine yourself and it's pouring rain outside, right? And you could go outside and maybe you won't get wet right away. You could walk for a little bit and you'll only be a little damp, right? But the longer you stay out in the rain, the more and more and more you become soaked, right? But if you go out in the rain with an umbrella, the umbrella blocks the rain from coming down upon you. But the umbrella itself couldn't do anything unless you were holding the umbrella. The umbrella is your husband. And you are the one holding him up so that he can block all those things from coming at you, from coming at your family. Because he's at the foreground. And that doesn't mean that you're less just because you're right behind him. No. Without you behind him, he couldn't stand where he stands. He couldn't be that pillar of strength without someone behind him holding him up. You are the foundation. For my people that have like a grandma, right? Have you ever noticed that the family's like super held together? It's great. It's wonderful. Everybody gets together. Everybody does things together. And then when grandma passes away, all of a sudden the family just falls apart. Grandpa can already be gone. But once she passed, everything just falls apart. Because a woman is the glue to a family. She's the one that holds it all together. Because that's her role that God designed her for. And God sees us as so much more than just somebody that's supposed to bow down to a man. The only person we should be bowing down to is God. Our husbands are not meant to be dominant over us. They're not meant to be almighty and powerful and us just be these meek little, oh, please don't hurt me, please help me. No. We are meant to be powerful and strong and hold ourselves up. Jesus is a prophet. I would definitely like to talk to you. Is it Nahum? I'm assuming that you're Muslim. I can give you my email. It's in my bio on my page. But let me just drop it in here real quick. I would love to talk to you and go over the Quran and all of that, because I'd really like to get with you. You're a cherry picker and you have nothing but playing at people's feelings. How so? 6. How so? Show me the verses that show that a woman is to be a servant for a man. Also, only having 4 at most in your chat makes subscribers to talk. Well, that's fine. Look up what? Give me the verses and I'll look them up right here, because we're going through verses. I'm showing people exactly what God says. We're not doing anything else. We're going through exactly what he talks about and what his word says. I apologize, but it didn't. I don't have the. I don't have the verses. It didn't. It doesn't show. All I see is. You didn't. You didn't give me verses though. Give me verses out of the Bible, and I will look them up. All right. So let's go to Colossians now. And let's look at what God says women are, right? So, Colossians 3:18 and 19. Wives, be subject to your husband as is fitting to the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not embitter against them. So, what does that mean, you guys? Here, God is telling women, be subjective to your husband, right? As it is fitting to the Lord. Like I already said, first and foremost, your husband has to subject himself to God. He has to submit to God. Otherwise, there's no reason. I did. Does your room erase verses? So I don't have any. So these are all of your comments. I'll put them on the screen. I'll go into on my phone too, just to double check. I'll go into but I don't have any. Okay, so numbers. All right, let's go to numbers then. Numbers. You said 31, 17, 18. 17 through 18. Oh, okay. So let me make that a little bigger so you guys can see it. Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has a man intimately. But all the girls who have not known man intimately, spare for yourselves. I don't see how that's saying that women have to subject themselves and be servants to a man. How would you say that that shows that a woman has to be a servant? God is telling them what they're allowed to take. And you also have to understand that just because God gives you guidelines for something doesn't mean that he agrees with it completely. He gives us free will. And therefore, in that free will, he allows certain things to happen, right? So no, those verses definitely don't at all say that women have to be a servant to a man. If you have any other verses, please drop them, and I would love to take a look at them. We can go through it just like we just did those ones, and we can do it. But let me get to my next verses. We're going to go Titus 2, 3 through 5. Make those bigger. Sorry, guys. All right. Older women, likewise, are to be reverent in their behavior, not malicious gossips, nor enslaved to much wine, teaching what is good, so that they may encourage the young women who to love their husbands, to love their children, to be sensible, pure workers at home, kind, being subject to their own husbands, so that the word of God will not be dishonored. Okay, so let's break those ones down. It's literally talking about generations here. It's telling the older women to make sure that they are wise in what they do, right? I'm gone. Should have to start. Nobody's cherry picking, but I hope you have a blessed day. And if you want to stay for the rest of it, I'm glad you're here. So we see that God's telling us to make sure we hold ourselves together. Don't be gossiping all crazy, like, right? Gossip is for those who believe not. And as you grow closer to God, you will see yourself slowly dropping off of certain things, right, ladies? I know myself, I used to love some good gossip. Like, ooh, let me hear. What was it about? But as I've grown closer and closer to God, I don't want to hear it. If the person's not in the room to defend themselves, or I can't go to that person and ask them, like, if that's going to make you uncomfortable, then I don't want to hear it, right? Like, I don't care. Don't tell me something that I can't go back and fact check. That's how I feel. And that's because I've gotten closer and closer to God. It also says, nor enslaved to much wine. So you're probably like, what does that mean, Bobby? How can you be a slave to wine? It means you drink too much. You get too tipsy and you start letting what you know you should be doing fade away, and you do what you're not supposed to be doing. And that goes for any age. But the older women are supposed to be models for the youngers, right? Those are supposed to be role models that they look up to and they can see what they do. And even verse 4, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands, to love their children. I think society has made it so common and so just, and I've even caught myself doing this, where we don't realize how precious children are anymore, right? We take for granted children in general. We've seen them as annoying, as a burden, something that you are forced to take care of, something that stopped your life altogether. You had to give up this, and this for it. But we forget to see the blessing in it. That is something beautiful that God only allows women to do. Only a woman can give birth to a child. Only a woman can truly nurture a child in a way that a mother does. Right? Because your father will nurture you in a different kind of way. He'll give you that identity and that gumption and that fearlessness. While your mother, thank you, beautiful. Your mother will give you that warmth, that love, that unconditionalness that is so close to God's love. It's unbelievable. There's nothing my children could do that would make me love them less. Maybe I'll get upset with them and I'll like them a little bit less, but I would never love them less. And that's a love I truly believe God gave women to be able to pour out on their children so that they can have a small glimpse at what His love is. And that's why it's so sad when women are convinced or convince themselves that, one, they're never supposed to be a mom, or being a mom would be horrible and it would suck and it's just not for them. And it's heart-wrenching because that's never what God intended for you. He meant for everyone to be able to have that kind of love and to understand that kind of love. And even in those moments, hi, beautiful. My daughter's right here too. And in those moments, we get a small glimpse of His love. But the world has convinced us that not only are we less than we do. Okay. Not only are we less than a man, but we should also be focusing on all these other things that take us away from our family. That we shouldn't love only our husband. That we should be out there trying to get the best person that can financially do for us, or the best person that makes us the happiest. And society thrives on those short, tiny little glimpses of happiness, right? Those short-lived happiness. Hi, beautiful. I'm assuming your live just ended. I gotta go back and watch it. I didn't have a moment today.
Mommy.
Yes, but
when you're done, are you taking me a bath?
Yeah, when I'm all done. I'll be done shortly, okay? Sorry, you guys. We get those small glimpses of happiness, of joy, but that's all they are. They're short-lived. They're tiny. They're minute. And because of that, we're constantly thriving for more. We're looking for the next jolt, the next hit of that happiness. So happiness, instead of it being something that's long-term that we can find in God, it becomes a drug. And if anybody's out there that's listening and has never ever done drugs, you're always searching for that first high that you had. You're always searching for that feeling of that very first time. And that's why you're constantly increasing and constantly doing stuff to find that high. And that's the same way we are with happiness. Once we feel that happiness, we're like, oh, I need more, I need more, I need more. But God lays it out for us and tells us how we can obtain that joy and that happiness. It's only through Him and following what He says. And us as women, we have been convinced that the only way we can have that is if we don't have a family, we have a career. If we are making money to spend on this, that, and the other. If we have the latest clothes, the latest shoes, the latest handbag. All of these things, if we're looking our best and we look so good that everybody wants us. But when we really stop and we go back to what God intended us for and who He intended us to be, I have found the most joy in that. I have been that person that's been out there searching for that dopamine, right? I've been that person out there that worked her booty off, made the money, was able to take care of everybody, able to take care of herself, the one that people would come to and ask for things constantly, but I was never truly happy. There was always a small, just ick inside me that I could never understand how to fulfill it. And it's because my relationship with God was so, ugh. It was a touch and go, like, oh, hey, Lord, great, so glad you're here. Let's talk about this real quick. Okay, I gotta go, bye. But He wasn't at the center of my life. I didn't pay attention to what He said would bring me joy. And these verses right here, He's telling us through the generations of women, make sure you older women are using the wisdom that I have given to you to show the younger women, like, it's wonderful to love your husband. It's amazing to love your children. This is what I want from you. In verse 5, to be sensible, pure, workers at home, kind, being subject to their own husbands, so that the word of God will not be dishonored. Everybody, some of it. We think that we are less than because society has convinced us that we are. I have a couple more verses, you guys, and then we'll be done with this teaching for today. And you guys can go and sit with God on these few little verses, these words, and really go to Him to understand who you are in His plan. And like I said, this is mainly for my ladies out there. But gentlemen, if you're listening, really sit with Him and understand who your wife is, who she was made to be for you, and why it's so important that you guys are on the same path. So Proverbs 31. We all know Proverbs 31, right? It's what we all strive to be. right? Like literally, I think I put verse 25. A Proverbs 31 woman, right? So it says, Proverbs, we'll read from 10 down to 25. Uh,
Hey, Mommy.
Hi, Bug. What's up?
I love you.
I love you too.
I'm still here.
I know. Okay. An excellent wife who can find, for her worth is far above jewels. Oh, ha ha ha. Sorry, you guys. I guess it would help if I add it to the stage so you could see. There we go. You guys can see now. I'll make it bigger though. Because we be blind in my house. I be blind. An excellent wife who can find, for her worth is far above jewels. Stop right there. God is saying a woman is far more worthy than any jewel you can have. You guys, I have a diamond on my finger, right? God's saying I'm worth more than this diamond on my finger. And this diamond was pretty pricey, to be honest. Yes. But God's saying that a good wife, an excellent wife, is far more precious than that. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of grain. If you find a good woman, a godly woman that is after God's heart, she can take a small seed and turn it into abundance. Literally, anything a man gives a woman, she grows. He gives her the seed of life. She grows a human being. If you give the right woman a house, she makes it a home. You give her people, she'll make them a family. And you see it not only with wives, but you can see it with the women around you. If you have good girlfriends that follow God, you go from just having friends to having a community. You go from having worry and doubt to having strength and somebody to help you along the way. Because that's what God intended us for. But I love you too. So when God says the heart of her husband trusts in her, which means he doesn't have to worry about things. He can give her things. He can trust her. He can go and do what he needs to do. And she will be there doing what she needs to do. And he will have no lack of grain, which means she will build an abundance that he never has to worry about lacking. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. You guys, this is something I am working on because I struggle. I mean, we're human beings. God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He does, expect us to strive to do what he wants us to do. And because of that, sometimes I be struggling. But I have to remind myself, if I am truly who God wants me to be, then I have to have my husband's best interest at heart, my family's best interest at heart, because I have to rely that he too has those exact same things. She looks for wool and flax and works with her hands in delight. All last year, you guys, I worked on that. Those verses right there. That she looks for wool, flax, and works with her hands in delight. I hate doing certain things, you guys. Laundry, hate it. Dishes, hate them. Cleaning constantly, want to stab myself in the eye half the time. But all last year, I really worked on finding joy in those little things and realizing that those tiny little things that I do on a day-to-day basis is how not only I worship God, but I show my family that I care. I show my family that I'm there for them, that they can trust me, that they can rely on me. because I do those things. So they don't have to worry about coming home and not having food, coming home and not having clean clothes, not having a clean space. Do I fall behind sometimes? Yeah, I got 2 tiny little children. It's going to happen. But I found joy in doing those things, which makes it 10 billion times easier to do them. I promise you. It really does. She is like a merchant ship. She brings forth food from afar. I can read you guys. She rises also with the still of night and gives food to her household and portions to her maidens. I don't know about you ladies, but I get up before I am the first one up. I am the first one doing stuff. And it's because I know that I got things to do to prepare their day. She considers a field and buys it. And from her earnings, she plants a vineyard. So a lot of the time we misinterpret this as to saying, oh, I have to be having an income. If I don't have an income, I'm not being a good wife. That's not what he's saying here. He's saying you consider things that will produce for your family, and from there you produce something, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have money coming in to be worth something. No. Society has convinced us of that. But God's saying you take your knowledge that I have given you and you do decisions based on that knowledge. And with that knowledge you produce something. That's why it says she considers a field and buys it. So she's already done the work. She's already made sure the field is good for the vineyard. She made sure that it will be good to produce the grapes, to produce whatever she's producing. She has done her work, and because of her work, she produces more for her family. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She's not lazy, okay? Straight up. She's not lazy. She senses that her grain is good. Her lamp does not go out at night. This right here, you guys, this speaks volumes. She senses that her grain is good. So what does that mean? Buck, I love you, but you keep moving everything. It means that she understands things that she is doing have meaning, have emphasis, that they produce things, and she's able to see that it aligns with God and that it is good. And her lamp does not go out at night, which means she doesn't turn into a different person just because it's the evening or just because it's a certain day, just because it's a certain time. All of a sudden, she doesn't become a completely different person because of it. I love you too, girly. Good night. Get some rest. Get those babies to bed. Oh, you keep me strong too, girly. I love you. But she doesn't just wander off because it's a different time. She stays within God. She stretches out her hand to the shaft, and her hands grasp the spindle. She extends her hands to the poor and stretches out her hands to the needy. That's showing that it's not only about her needs, her family's needs, but she's aware of those around her as well. She's willing to help those who need the help. I find the most joy when I'm helping others. Truly and honestly. That is one of my favorite things. Like, I can completely forget about all my problems, all my stress when I have a friend come to me and they ask for advice, or I see somebody out that needs help with something and I'm able to help them. That's when I feel the most joy. And I know it sounds cliche, but truly and honestly, that is when I feel the most joy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Y'all, back then, those colors were very hard for find. Those colors were meant for royalty. God is saying, when you find a good woman, she will present your family as the royalty that it is. Because if we are God's children, we are heirs to his kingdom. That makes us royal. But she doesn't show it off and make herself boastful. No, she stays humble. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land, which means that her husband is well known and she doesn't diminish his standing by her behavior. There are ladies out there that your husband, their husband, can be like the best man to society. But then he got a girl at home that act like a wild person, and it just takes away from what he's building. So you really have to look at your demeanor as well. So verse 25 is really what I wanted, 25 and 26. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teachings of kindness are on her tongue. You guys, these two verses right here are so important. Strength and dignity are her clothing. I've had times where I feel like I am nothing, and I feel the lowest of low, and I struggle to get out of bed. But I know that God has me. And because God has me, I'm able to get up and to present myself in a dignified manner. Even when people are throwing comments at me, throwing hate at me, just vile, horrible things, I'm able to stand my ground in Christ. And I look forward to my future. We see a Proverbs 31 woman and we strive to be like one. But what we don't understand is most of us hit so many of those qualifications, but we think that we don't because we struggle. This woman, she struggles, I promise you. But God sees her good qualities constantly because he loves her so much. And it's just so sad to see that the world has convinced women that we're less than, that we are meant to be under a man and not next to him. Let's look at one more verse, you guys, and then I won't talk your ear off completely. But we'll go back a couple chapters to Proverbs 18.
Love you.
I love you too.
Excuse me.
Silly girl. Well, Proverbs 18, verse 22. And this really, really points out that how God sees us. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Just sit with that for a second. Just literally sit there and think about what that verse says. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. But not only does he find a good thing, he also obtains favor from the Lord. It doesn't say that when a woman finds a husband, she obtains favor from the Lord. No, it says when a man finds a wife, he obtains favor from God. If we were meant to be less than man, why would a man obtaining a wife all of a sudden give him favor in God's eyes?
I don't
Okay, baby.
Get coming back.
Why would that all of a sudden mean that because he found somebody that has to be under him constantly, God all of a sudden favors him? God shines down upon him, right? How does that make sense? It doesn't say if man finds a servant. It says if man finds a wife, not a girlfriend, not a lover, a wife. And that's because when you join in that bond of marriage, it's deeper than just, oh, I love you, I love you. We have intimate relations. No, it's I'm agreeing to go with you to the end of time and back. I am willing to follow you and pick you up when we fall, and you pick me up when I fall, and I am willing to go through the good, the bad, and everything in between. Yeah. Sacrificing love. Yeah, that's literally what marriage is. Often when we're young, we're always thinking like, oh, I can't wait to be married. I can't wait to be in a relationship. It's going to be great. It's going to be so nice. You're going to have all these wonderful feelings, especially when you're a teenager. When you're a teenager, you got a lot of feelings going on. And you're hoping that once you get in a relationship and make all those feelings nice and beautiful and wonderful. And no. Don't get me wrong. There are things that you can do that will give you small, short-term dopamine love and make you feel good. But if you really want that true storybook love that we all strive for, you find it in marriage. But your marriage has to be what God wants it to be. It's not that you're underneath your husband and you have to do everything he says and you have to be doing it at this time and on his command and all of these. No. It means you are there for him when he's crumbling, when he's faltering, when he can't hold himself up anymore because he is just broken from the world and the weight that he carries. But he's able to be broken for a moment because he has you to lift him back up, to rebuild the brokenness within him. But both of you have to be on the same page because you are two pillars holding up the world. And I don't mean the whole world as in society and what the world has convinced us is. I mean your lives, your family, your struggles, your two pillars. One isn't higher than the other. Last time I checked, if one of your pillars is higher than the other, you got a lopsided foundation and things roll away, right? But when you are both at equal level, which is what God intended for man and woman, you're able to hold everything up. Because when this one falters, this other one's able to push it back up. And when this one falters, this one's able to push it back up. Because you understand it's not a 50-50 thing all the time. Sometimes it truly is 80-20, 90-10. Both of you are down at 5. But you know what? That 95 is met because God also has you. Because out of it all, when those pillars are like this, being flat, guess what? God's pulling you right back up. Because he doesn't leave. That's funny. I didn't even know Miss Lori was live. I gotta check why I don't have her lives on my phone. God never leaves you. And we see right here, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Why would he leave a marriage that's rooted and founded in him and what he believes and what he tells us and what he has taught us? Why would he leave you to be slumped? No, he is there holding you both up when neither of you have the strength to hold each other up. When the only way that you two make it through the day is because you both are holding each other, because without each other, you would both just crumble. You would both just falter and fall. But because you're able to lean on one another, you're able to truly be. So women, stop thinking that you are less than a man. Ezer Kenegdo is a suitable helper, a helpmate, somebody that is equal to, somebody that is there to hold when the other one can't, somebody that is there to back up, to stand strong, not to be less than, not to be unwanted, unloved, unworthy. And if you are in a relationship with somebody that makes you feel those ways, that's not what God intended, and you're in an unbiblical relationship. And the beauty of it is if you have a man of God, you should be able to talk to him about it and help him go through the change of guiding him to find where he's supposed to be at with God and where you're supposed to be with God. That way you both can be those two pillars that hold each other up. God doesn't say he who finds a wife finds a good thing for no reason. He's saying he who finds a wife finds somebody that will help him blossom. That is the role that women have. We blossom things. We grow, we nurture, we take and we give nutrients to the soil so that the flower may bloom. We are the fertilizer to all of it. But society has convinced us that we're less than. That our only role is to please a man. And if that's the mindset you have, you will never grow anything. Because a seed can only grow in soil that is good. And if you feel like you are nothing, that you are less than, that you are unworthy, unloved, unwanted, you are constantly hearing horrible words come at you, you are constantly being hurt, constantly feeling icky, constantly just feeling nothing but emptiness, that seed will never turn into what it was supposed to be because the soil that it was given was bad. So stop believing what society says. Stop thinking that you are meant to be something that you're not. That you have to, I love you. That you have to be a servant. That you have to be subservient in a manner that's like, oh yes, of course, of course, of course. No. You're allowed to say no. God called you to be a certain person. And whatever that looks like in your marriage, as long as you are both with God, following God's path, you can't go wrong. Because he will continue to bless the things that you guys do together. And what your husband gives you, you will be able to multiply. Because that is what a woman is there to do. To help multiply, to help hold up, to help strengthen, to truly give what was missing. God didn't make Eve just because he was like, oh, well, you know what? He must need somebody. He needs somebody to do the the small tasks. He needs to delegate stuff. What was there to delegate? Adam didn't have a darn care in the world. He didn't work. He didn't do nothing at this time. He lived in the garden and it was perfect. He made Eve because he knew there was something missing. He knew there was a hole that wasn't being fulfilled, and he knew that man needed an equal. So God made woman. And that was his equal. That was his helper. That was his best friend, his long-term foreverness. I love you too. Do you think that just because they got kicked out of the garden, all of a sudden Eve became less? No. They had to work together on the same page at the same amount to be able to survive outside the garden. Because their whole world got turned upside down. But slowly over time, the world and the enemy convinced us that women are less, that you're not as good as a man unless you're doing the exact same thing a man can do. I don't want to do what men do. I wasn't designed for that. And I have been there. I have done that. And I don't like it. Okay? I don't really like to be dirty. So I let my husband do dirty, gross stuff. That's fine with me. I don't like bugs. I prefer my husband to squish them. Does he all the time? No, he doesn't.
Sometimes.
And I be getting mad at him. But he has a role and I have a role, but our roles are equal. They come together to make a whole. It's not he has all of it and I'm just here like, oh, please, 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 give me a little bit. Just whatever you pour down, it's fine. No. He has a piece. I have a piece. I know. You heard her? Because she knows Daddy makes her squish bugs too. He'd be like, you do it. No, you do it. I don't like bugs. You both have a piece to bring to the table. You both have something to offer. And when you start realizing that what you have to offer is just as good as what he has to offer, and it's okay for it to be different than what he has to offer, God will blossom not only your life, your love, your ambition, but everything in between and everything forward. If you stay with God and your husband submits to God and you submit to your husband, and not in a way that you are a servant, but in a way that you are equal, in a way that you understand when he says something, it's because it's what's best for you and your family, because that's what God does. He does what's best for us and all of his children. Because if God did what's best for him, he would have been done with all of it. Probably gets a headache every day with us. But he has that love, that he has our best interest in heart. And a true godly husband has the exact same thing for his wife and his family. And as a wife, you are able to lean on him and trust him. And that's what makes you submissive. Not that you're less than, not that you're his servant, not that you have to do everything he says, but that you can trust him to lead you, to hold you, and to build. And whatever he hands you, you are able to grow it. And he's willing to trust you to grow it. Because that's what God intended you. Ezer Kenegdo means the perfect help. a helper equal in all ways. You just have different functions, and that's okay. Well, I hope you guys liked this live teaching. Let me know if you enjoyed the slides, if they helped, if they didn't help. I enjoyed it. I know we had a troll earlier, but it's fine. If you have any more questions, my email is not only in chat, but it's also in my bio. Email me. I love studying the Bible with people, and I would love to study with you. Every Tuesday, we are going to have a live study on some kind of word in the Bible. So if you have some word that you're like, I need help understanding this, please drop it. Email me. Let me know so I can help you understand and you can get the most out of your Bible study. But I absolutely love each and every one of you. I gotta go make dinner for the fam and feed us all. But I will catch all of you next time. Stay in your word. Stay with God. Go back. Look at all the stuff I told you. Get with God. Don't trust me. I'm a person. I make mistakes. Get with Him. He'll lead you 100% of the way. I love you all. Until next time. Bye.